Set up our screen. All right. Set up. Hopefully we can get into this now. What I want to talk about right now is that the factor that most people, the way they're raised, keeps them poor. It just does. People are raised to have a lifestyle. Like when you get out, hey, you go to college or, maybe you just go rent an apartment and, you work whatever job. The lack of success that I see with most people comes down to just this weird relationship with credit. And to me, when I look at credit, I always associate it with what poor people do. Now, people would say, well, if you're, ridiculously rich and you take out loans against, your own investments and stuff like that, I can sort of understand that. But, that way you can take capital and make it. But wait a minute. What if, hypothetically, I know it's a wild concept, what if you weren't paying an absurd amount of rent, an absurd amount for a car, an absurd amount for everything, and you actually had a decent trade when you were young, and you were willing to live a little differently? Yes, as a guy that did trucking for quite a while, I can tell you that no rent, no utilities, no problems equals pretty much a huge amount of money. And what I'm getting at with this is that it's something anybody can do. But you would have to ask yourself, why do we do it in the way we do it? I mean, why does it take about most people half their life, or at least until their 30s, some of their 30s or 40s, before they finally figure out that, yeah, what you've been taught to do just doesn't fucking work. It doesn't. And they're like, well, what do you mean it doesn't work? If I can go out and go to the Midwest and buy a house, it's an old house that elderly couple had, they pass on, it's fresh, basically, it's not like it's been sitting for a long time, buy it anywhere from 30 to 80K, or, say 100,000. And I can make 100,000 driving a truck every year. And I'm living off, say anywhere from under 5K a year when I'm trucking, because it doesn't really cost much to live. It actually really doesn't. Now, if I can go get that house and I can pay cash for it, let's say 70K, why wouldn't I do that? Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you get the trade, get the thing, live super cheap and pay cash for the house, versus what most people do, which is they want a brand new house in a nice place, full of schools, and they do it on credit. Let's say that's 70 times 6% at 30-year mortgage, $500,000. There's 30 grand the first year, poof, gone. Then you pile on the other 20, 30,000, let's say 30,000 for your commute, hour each way, $25 an hour, assuming you have a decent scale. I mean, I make anywhere from 45 to 50 driving a truck, and I don't have to pay rent, I don't have to pay utilities. Why is it we're not teaching that? And I guess what I'm getting at with this is that we are raised in a culture that basically what's real doesn't matter. Like, okay, it's the end goal. Like for guys, why all the buying of the stuff, the overpriced vehicles, the trips, the boats. I mean, I understand some of it just because you enjoy some of that stuff, but a lot of it's just to get laid. And the problem is with the women these days, if we're being honest about it. Well, the women, it doesn't matter whether the money's real or not. Like, I'm not saying that every chick is like Bipsy, that she never knew that her husband effectively was just taking more loans out from the bank. Go to my banker. Now, I believe that there's a lot of women, they kind of know what's going on. The only thing is they know there's no real consequences. If Chad, or what's a good name for a douchebag? Chaz, make small business guy who actually isn't really making any money. It's like it's all on loans and credit and crap. If he fails, Bipsy can just go get with another dude. So there's no consequences unless she has some kids with this guy. And even then, still, she loses some weight. And there's, the next line is super simps ready to take care of her. And why do men do all this crap? To get the pussy. That's it. That's it. So the whole idea of saying, hey, why not do the hero's journey? Live super cheap. Go out there and apply yourself. It's not going to resonate with people because everybody's looking for the easy. There's what they want and the quickest way to it. Guys, they want the ladies. Women, they want the guys with lots of money. They're, good, guy that's good looking and blah, blah, blah. He's got the money. He's got the resources. And credit gives you that instantly, even if it's completely fake. Like you see these people with their cars and, literally anywhere from $50,000 to $80,000 for a fucking people mover. And they pay credit on that. You see their houses. And yeah, it's a nice house, but it's still just a place you sleep, shower, and shit. Or lifestyle. Well, we're going to, Red Lobster. We're going to Steak and Lobster. We're going to a steakhouse. It still just turns into a turd. I'm just saying, we are raised to be wasteful. Wasteful from a very young age. And, comparison nonsense. Like, for instance, when you're in school, oh, what shoes are those? What clothes are you wearing? And then it becomes this kind of thing where you're a kid and you're like, Dad, Mom, I need this thing so I won't be fucked with in school. I need to have these toys or this clothes or this whatever. And then you get into high school and it's like, oh, you ride the bus? Well, we have a car. My dad has a place on the lake. And like, fuck, I don't know how many of you guys, you went out to the lake, you had a buddy with a pickup, and you all kind of chipped in a little money for gas, and you're like, you had a good time regardless either way. It's understanding, to some degree, that if you didn't load yourself down with all these problems, this debt and all this crap, how much freer would your life be? And they're like, well, you got to live somewhere. And I'm like, that's why I say, hey, parents, share a room with a bunch of people, a van life, fuck a tent. Hell, if you could pull it off in a storage unit. And then people say, storage unit? Yeah, but if you worked for 1 or 2 years, super hard, saved up your money, and then just went to the Midwest and paid for a fucking whole ass house. Yeah, there's tons of cheap. You want to, I'll tell you again, go online, look up Google Maps, look up the name of the city, and then look up real estate in that city. And you just keep on looking around, little small towns all over America, forgotten places. And you will find affordable living situations. Now, why is it we don't teach that? And the answer, in my opinion, is because if you're in debt, you're easier to control. If you're in debt, you're not going to leave any sort of legacy wealth. Like the idea that when we talk about, taxing capital gains, most people don't have a concept of capital gains. And why? Because when they're young, they get taught basically buy this on credit, buy that on credit, put all this here and there. And then when they're broke, like all their other friends, that's normal. It's normal to be broke. Oh, sure, you got a nice vehicle and your house is in a good location. And likely you lose that house to divorce or something else, And that way you can, and it's almost like this system of like, be popular, be cool at a young age. So you can be popular and cool, but then you spend the next 10, 20, 30 years. And by the way, make sure to crank out some kids to fucking really put the nail in the coffin of your future. And it's great for the system. That's really, if you think about it, it's incredibly good for the system. They sold you a lifestyle, a cause, a meaning. Like, we support this random thing that the TV or the cell phone told us to believe in. Or this person's bad, this president's bad because of blah reason. And whether you like the particular president or whatever, it does not fucking matter at all. At all. If you're an efficient person, like ridiculous level minimalist like myself, or pulling the Dave Ramsey thing, beans and rice, whatever you got to do to save that money to where you can actually be completely debt free, then you realize quite quickly that most of what people do is a complete utter waste of time. And so for my part, it's like, I don't know, the way most of you live your existences And I don't say things like this to flex on people. I know a lot of people think I'm just being an asshole. I'm not. Like I was talking to this individual, and they were saying, "Oh, I need to get about $2,000 for the fursuit. It's furry." And I'm just thinking, I even put in the comments the route like Seattle to Atlanta, 4 days, just 4 fucking days of work. That's the difference. When you don't bog yourself down, what your dreams are, what you could have been doing, having whatnot, can just be done. And I've said that is the ultimate key. Minimalism plus a work ethic, decent job. Like, yeah, by the way, you can work crapper jobs if you want, but let's be fucking real about it. Your crapper job will never take you anywhere. You can work 40 hours at a crapper job for years and you're getting by. You're a minimalist, you'll be doing better than a lot of people. But if you're going to go to work, at least get paid, get a skill, get paid. But yeah, the ultimate difference is that I run into these people and they talk about these dreams. And maybe that's a good thing that they have something to really work towards, fight for. But imagine you could just do it. And I'm not some like 1%er, not some rich kid or something like that. I just don't bog myself down by like buying like tons of shit I don't need. New cars and all that crap. Sure, it'd be nice. I'd like to get like a little Prius or something so I could use it as a little ninja mobile all over the country. But I don't really need it right now. But y'all can do as you want to do. And I've often said for the environmental movement, for any sort of art, any sort of happiness in general, you can achieve pretty much everything if you use the key of minimalism. It's like the ultimate skeleton key. Because like if the new furnace that's more efficient costs $3,000 more, but in the long term it's better, or the better insulation on your house, you spend an extra $2,000, but it pays in dividends. Hot summers, you're fine. Cold winters, you're saving on energy. You're never going to do that stuff if you're always just looking at the price and thinking, oh, we can't really afford that. But if you use credit, oh, you'll get some of the things you want, but you'll pay vastly more for all of it. And that's the thing about it. I get why the system wants you to be the way that you are, but I just look at it as like it's fucking it's insanity, and the fact that it's normal. And this is part of the reason I used to go with the line crazy and then my name. And the reason is I realized I was saner than most people. I had it figured the fuck out. But the majority of people are all like, hey, you got to go to college. You got to buy the new car. You got to. They were just walking right off the goddamn cliff. They were walking off the cliff because, well, you got to walk off the cliff. Well, what are people going to say about you if you don't walk off the cliff? And then they raise their kids to do the same fucking thing. Generation after generation. Oh, we gotta be cool. Look at our furniture. Look at our cars. Things and bullshit. I was a garbage man for a number of years. That's how I paid off this house, by the way. Lived in a giant van, GMC value van. Started off an S10. And I got a really close up, because it was a rear end loader. I got a close up look at your existence. And I can sum up most people's lives like this. At the end of it all, the few precious things your family will take and the things they can sell to get some money, the rest of your existence either ends up in a car crusher or a dumpster. Now, I think your life is worth more than that. But if you can't recognize your life is worth more than that, there's not a goddamn thing I can do. You know, minimalism, hard work, don't buy shit you don't need. Peace.